Check it out. Look, they put the mask on Wolverine on the cup. So I'm hoping he wears the mask in the movie and it's not CGI like Thor's helmet and it's more than 2 seconds, but it'll probably be for 2 seconds and it'll probably be CGI. All right, so it's the 4th of July. And I just got done work and I didn't have any plans, and so I went to the movies and I saw a children's movie by myself. Thankfully, the theatrical experience was much better this time, because there were the comments in the Quiet Place review was like, don't talk about bad movie experiences. It's bad enough for the movie theaters. It's my fault that people are dickheads? Like, we're blaming the victims now. Fuck you, man. So, I was going to say the long-awaited sequel to Inside Out, but I don't know who was asking for a sequel for this. I think the first one was wonderful, and it made me emotional. I'm trying to remember when this came out, the first one, because I was the general manager of the Anthony Wayne from 2014 to 2020, and into 2021, while I was also doing 30 fucking people's jobs over at Screenwave. But regardless, I was like 2016 to 18 is when the first one came out. There's a lot of Pixar used to be special and put out like a movie like every few years, and then it just became like Good Dinosaur and Incredibles 2 and Moana, and now there's a Moana 2 coming out, and I saw the trailer for Mufasa with and I'm just like, oh god, stop. I love that, like, The Boys, the Amazon show The Boys, like, makes fun of like movies and culture and stuff like that, and they nailed a lot of this shit, these kind of soulless cash grab IP sequels, because I love the first Moana, and again I the first Inside Out made me like truly emotional, and I went into this kind of expecting something very similar, and it's not what I got out of it, but I also didn't get that this was like, Lightyear or something like that, like where it was just like, well, we have this thing, just push it out there, or Wish, or one of those type of Disney movies. This one, Riley, the little girl, and all the emotions are in her head. It's like, there used to be a show on Fox called Herman's Head, where there was like a bunch of characters inside of the brain of Herman in his head, and they kind of controlled his emotions, and Amy Poehler's back as the voice of Joy. Mindy Kaling didn't come back. Maya Hawke, who's Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter, she's from like Stranger Things, she plays Anxiety in it. So while it's beautifully animated, and Michael Giacchino does the score, I'm a big fan of him, even as a director as well. Werewolf by Night was awesome. So there was a lot of things going for this one in the positive, and I wouldn't say there's negatives. I would just say that the thing about this one was, when you're now dealing with puberty, puberty kicks in and it introduces all these new emotions. You have, anxiety, and you have ennui, and you have, just all the other new emotions, embarrassment. What was the other one? The other one was envy. Yeah. And ennui sort of just looked like Brendan in the show Home Movies, and Home Movies is one of my favorite cartoons of all time, with Brendan Small and John Benjamin. That's a great one if you've never saw it before, but he sort of looks like Brendan in that. So when you're dealing with now more complex emotions and bottling up the original emotions and hiding them away, and you're dealing with the idea of core values and memories and all this, I expected the movie to be a bit more complex. Again, this fucking children's movie that I'm now going to complain about. But the first one was a children's movie. I guess just 2015 to 18, whenever the movie came out, was just a more simple time. This one felt a bit more safe. It felt a bit more watered down. It was taking these ideas of these more complex emotions and just kind of like streamlining it. And I thought in that it missed some beats. My favorite gag in the entire movie was when they are locked up inside the repressed memory vault. They're in there with this kind of like Bob the Builder, Blue's Clues kind of character, and this PlayStation what's the dude's name with the hair from Final Fantasy, like Cloud Sephiroth or whatever. I don't know. I never played those games. I saw the Spirits Within though. I remember that. So there's like that dude, and the thing I thought was really cool, and Pouchy keeps coming back throughout the movie. The thing I thought was really cool about that, and they took a page out of the Spider-Verse movies, was that there's different characters in different art styles that are moving at different frame rates, and I thought that was kind of neat because you have this like PlayStation 1 style character, even the way he moves and the glitchiness of him, that he can't go into things, so he like moves like a video game character, and that's like back him up and then go straight. And then you have this like 2D animation style character, and then you have these clips of scenes that look like they're drawn in children's like stick figures. That kind of stuff I thought was really, really neat. And as we go and we explore the different worlds like we did in the other one, there are some great sight gags in that one. It got some really good laughs out of me. This isn't a bad movie. I would say this is actually one of the better Pixar movies in the last few years, but it does suffer from the issue of modern Pixar, which is that kind of dumbing things down and diversifying to a fault the concept of it. Positive, it's about hockey. Fucking love hockey. Can't get enough of that. I just felt like it played a little too safe and and it dealt with the subject matter in a little bit too much of a simplistic way, to strike at the core of, especially like an old guy like me who lives with anxiety and doubt and grief and all that shit. I was talking in our Discord the other day. If you haven't signed up our Discord, you should go to our Discord right now, Schlocking Off Films. Talking about kind of how all my favorite songs and art are about regret. And the core memories that make all that was something in this movie that I was like, oh, you could really deal with something, and you talk to kids about things they don't understand that they're starting to become more cognizant of, but it did it in a very pedestrian way. And again, it's a fucking children's cartoon, but I felt like while everyone was bringing their A game, and there was some really good gags in it. Again, Pouchy just reaching into his mouth and pulling out dynamite. He's just full of dynamite. Or the whole thing with the 2D character, it's like addressing the audience, but you get it from the angle of our characters, so just watch him talking to a wall, and it's like sad and creepy. That kind of stuff I thought was really funny and in tune with the first movie, but it just lacked that emotional depth and starkness of the first movie, where it really dealt with letting go of things and building on things and creating something new and understanding a better sense of self and how each emotion kind of is there to protect and all that. And while those elements were there, it felt softer in a way, and I felt like this is the kind of, like, not like we need to go fucking, like, we're not making like a fucking Werner Herzog film here, it's not like we're not making a movie where like we have to look into the eye of the human condition and spit at it or something like that. I'm not saying that Inside Out should be The Dark Backwards, or something like that. I'm just saying that, like, it's no Melancholia. It's just one of those things where I felt like it's just indicative of modern Pixar, where they used to not talk down to kids, and this one straddles the line a little bit, but I can tell that before they probably would have given it a little bit more depth, a little bit more emotion. Now I feel like it's like it's Nerf era. We can't get too real about this kind of stuff. We can't really address kids on talk to kids like adults. We have to soften it up for them, and that sucks a little bit, because I'm a child of the fucking 80s, man. Like, they didn't, we had shit like the Never Ending Story and stuff like that, and like Return to Oz and You know, well, before that, but like, you know, the Watership Down and stuff like that. Like, they didn't handle kid stuff with kid gloves. You know, they're like, life's fucking hard and it hurts, but there's magic in it too, and you just gotta grin and bear it, man, and find yourself through the scary stuff. And I feel like modern family entertainment doesn't do that. It doesn't, you know, that's life in general, you know. I don't know. Here I am bitching in my car about a kids movie, but I don't know. I liked it, but I just felt like there was something missing from it. Now, granted, I'm also exhausted. I haven't had a day off in a while, and we're getting production ready for a movie too, so I've been running ragged. So there was a couple times during the movie where I kind of felt myself kind of like losing interest a little bit, which is weird because I rewatched the first one not too long ago, and it did strike me just how, you know, just how the movie spoke to kids and spoke to the kid in the adult here, you know, and all that kind of stuff, and how things are new and raw and weird and scary when you're a kid and you're finding all that stuff. And this one, I feel like it could be talking to kids who are entering, you know, their teenage years and this kind of stuff, and speak to them in a way that makes sense. And instead, they kind of just like, you know, they just kind of did like the Cliff's Notes version of those emotions. So yeah, that's Inside Out 2. I'm gonna go inside my house and get out of my clothes too and go to bed. I'm gonna cut this entire part off at the end because I'm running out of ideas.